Let this full moon be your archives, your sacred right to remember the good heart you are.
I just say break free with love.
Moon signs
And storylines. Hello, astrology enthusiasts.
Hello, astrology enthusiasts. Welcome to Moon Signs
And storylines.
I'm Megan.
And I'm Kimberly. And we're so happy that you found our channel. And for our faithful followers, welcome back.
To support this channel, please do share our video with other astrology enthusiasts.
Yeah, because here at Moon Signs and Storylines, we believe every new moon and full moon carries its own unique story and influence.
Full moons illuminate, exposing what's ready to be seen.
And new moons, on the other hand, are a little darker, more mysterious and internal. They invite us to plant seeds of intention for the path ahead.
As the moon travels, it moves with purpose, revealing the story of the moment.
These stories influence us, shedding light on the relationship between the sun and the moon.
For fun, here at Moon Signs and Storylines, we're here to uncover the story of this full moon in Sagittarius on June 11th by analyzing the chart.
Yeah, because the chart gives us space to pause, reflect, and realign.
To bring these moon storylines to life, we'll use our own references. From a song to a historic figure, like the last time we both chose movies.
Yeah, we sure did. Our references, like the chart, reveals these complexities.
And it's a great way to share our own unique perspectives.
Absolutely.
So what is the story behind the sun and moon on June 11th?
Let's start by exploring the moon's character.
Full moon in Sagittarius. If we're going with mutable fire versus mutable air. We're going with the last exposed moon of spring. We're going with a lot of external energies as well. So we're out there, we're moving, we're jiving, and we're going forward for sure. Because spring energy is just pushing the boundaries, and this moon is exposing what boundaries we've pushed, really.
It's about being bold, truth-seeking. And Sagittarius wants a deeper meaning.
Yeah.
Big adventures.
Yeah, like, why are we alive? Like, what's
Yeah.
the reason behind this spring of life that we're enjoying right now?
And the freedom to explore those ideas. And a time for our spirits to expand. Truth is calling.
The ruling planet is Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet of expansion. It is the...
It grows whatever it touches.
It's confident. So if you see Jupiter hitting any of your natal chart or even conjunct any of your planets, you know it's going to make that energy big and make that energy expansive. So when it's reflecting the sun, we're thinking about really expanding the intellectual purpose, expanding what springtime is, what being outside and alive and communication is as well.
And with it being in the moon, Sagittarius in the moon, it's about our feeling nature. And we have a lot of Cancer energy.
Yes.
So emotions are going to play a big part in this full moon.
In this June 11th energy, the leading planet of the moon is Jupiter in Cancer, and the leading planet of the sun and Mercury are conjunct in Cancer.
Right.
So this particular one, there's going to be an emphasis on internal intuition, on feeling our knowledge of understanding if our quest is in a heartful purpose of what we're in line with too. And then also listening to our ancestors and listening to the teachers before us.
Absolutely.
And in addition, those two are square to Saturn and Neptune, which freshly went into cardinal Aries as well. So there's going to be a fire to it, there's going to be a vision to it, and there's going to be an addition thrust of that quest and that journey and that adventure.
And that's going to be with us for a while.
Yeah.
So let's get used to this energy. It's going to be here a while.
So if we could take a principle and a life philosophy and find the deeperness of life for this energy with Neptune and Saturn being in Aries, I think we're going to be on the right track.
Yeah. And Aries in our lifetime has never been in Neptune. Or Neptune's never been in Aries. So this is like new territory for us.
Yeah. So when you think
for everyone on the planet.
So when you think of Neptune, you think of empathy. You think of a little bit of delusion as well. You think of the collective consciousness with not understand why and when because it's so vast and unknown. Going into a fire sign of I am principles.
So we just came out of Pisces. Neptune was in Pisces, and it was home. It's his home. Little confusion, not sure, a lot of spirituality. Now it moves into Aries, and I just see this as a spiritual warrior. You know?
It's time to take your quest to a higher level.
But be cautious.
Be cautious. So if you want to understand the philosophy of your higher level, this is the full moon to do it because Sagittarius loves philosophy. Gemini loves gathering knowledge to know that there's more out there to bring into our data bank to find more to get a better understanding of the whole picture. Whole picture is on fire right now. Are you ready for our hook?
I'm ready for our hook. I'll let you go first.
So our hook tries to give hints about what our reference is to this new moon without giving it away. And me and Kimberly don't know what each other's reference is. It's all about play. It's all about having fun with astrology.
We like to be surprised.
My hook is inspired by this full moon and the love of the teacher. So my story that I'm going to tell is about taking someone else's vision and then carrying it out and then finding generation and generations to do that again. But at the same time, there was a burning of this and then there was a loss of it too. So we're looking into the loss of ancestry knowledge.
That sounds like astrology.
To hit it on the head for any historians, the quest that these generations were after was to find every book in the world. Their quest was to have every book or every knowledge of the world.
Interesting. Okay, so my hook is when truth calls, even the most polished roles can feel like cages. This full moon asks, what freedom is worth? What's freedom worth?
Interesting. Okay, who's going to go first?
I get to choose. I choose you.
Okay, I'm going to go first. The reference that I chose for the full moon in Sagittarius on June 11th that all of us can learn from and take experience from and grow from is the Great Library of Alexandria. So Alexandria the Great had this idea to collect all of the books of the world in one place. He found the city of Alexandria, went away on another journey, and then died. So he never actually even started the Library of Alexandria. But his childhood bestie, his best friend at the time, Ptolemy, and his sons sought out the quest to get every book in the world. And how they did this ties into the aspects of this full moon in itself. And where they sat, they're at the harbor of the Nile. So they collected internal books that came through. And they were at the harbor of the Mediterranean. So every book that came into that harbor, they collected too. They had a law that any book that arrived in their harbor, they were going to take back, make a copy of, keep the original, and then give the copy of the book out.
That's a lot of work.
What a quest. Their quest was to take every book in the world and have a copy of it. And they situated themselves where they fed into the Western Hemisphere and fed into the Eastern Hemisphere as well with the Nile. There was an issue of translation and there was an issue of understanding these texts that they got. So I'm not saying that they did 100% of the best job ever, but the quest was there. The fall of the Library of Alexandria wasn't necessarily what we see in myth. We see in myth that kind of Julius Caesar came in a way to make it where they can't get him by catching all of his boats on fire. But a lot of historians don't believe that that was the demise of the Library of Alexander. They think that the demise was much slower with a lot of different regimes coming in there and just kind of bullying and then taken over. And then slowly we lost the knowledge that was in the Library of Alexandria. The burning of the Library of Alexandria is a symbol of that in multiple levels. First, we have Sagittarius, and we have the pursuit of knowledge. So the pursuit of knowledge was handed down and handed down again to people making the Library of Alexandria for people once before. So Aristotle was the original teacher of Alexandria. Alexandria and his bestie hung out together, and then he really made the library with his sons and his other generation. And even a beautiful astrologer herself, Hypatia, was there to try to stand ground and keep the knowledge before the second and third and fourth invasions of the Roman Empire, and then Christianity, and then they say the Muslim religion in itself. But there was so many people that hung on to the Library of Alexandria before it did crumble. And that's what I want to say, like, the full moon in Sagittarius is. There's so many people that put their heart and their soul trying to collect every book and every knowledge and duplicated it, not just hoard it, but give it back. So when we say we lost a lot in the Library of Alexandria, sure, we might have. But there was a quest to duplicate books and then bring them back to their original people. Not the original book, but the duplicate they hung back. Okay, so Jupiter, the leading planet, is in Cancer. And the leading planet sits in a nourishing cardinal sign. This is the emotional wisdom. This is inherent memory. This is ancestral knowledge. And it is conjunct Mercury. So we're looking at collecting knowledge from everyone we could. And they had that quest. They took all of the ships coming in from internal Africa with the Nile. They took all the books from India. They had certain people in charge of collecting everything from Greece, because that's really where they came from. And then they had everyone collecting stuff that came in from the Mediterranean, so from Europe and all of that as well. So they really feasted on more than just what they were comfortable with, but including everyone. And during the real height of the Library of Alexandria, people from all around the world came to find the knowledge within it. And this, with Mercury right there, there was a lot of knowledge. So things that we know were in there was the first understanding that the globe was round, that the moon reflected the sun. The first understanding of the steam engine, even though they used it as like a party favor of making things shoot out of the air, but it was the steam engine. And then just because we like to play, the things that we might have lost, which was the great flooding that we see in the Bible, the understanding how the pyramids were made, and things we might have even lost was the communication with extraterrestrials before, and what that is. So there is things that we did possibly lose, but there is duplicates that were made, and there is knowledge that still holds that were from the times of Alexandria. So the Cancer with this feels a little bit of loss to ancestries, a homage to what was and what needs to be. And I feel that in the Library of Alexandria, and how appreciative we could be for what knowledge it tried to contain, what it did contain, and what it possibly might have lost. With Jupiter and Mercury squared to that Saturn and Neptune, we're starting to think that Aries in that energy with Saturn and Neptune in Aries is starting to think like act now. Neptune says imagine more. And then Saturn says build something real. So I say let's try to collect the world's knowledge again. I know people will argue that's what the internet is a collection of knowledge. And there'd be other libraries that in today's world is substantial, but maybe let's do that internally. Like we can be the Library of Alexandria ourselves. Because even at one point, the Library of Alexandria collected so much information, they say that it was just complete chaos until someone came and kind of categorized and alphabetized it. Because we go now like, whoa, that's crazy. But imagine the chaos inside us with all of our collection of information too. So we can learn by that, just trying to reorganize our thoughts within us to make it a little bit more easy to access when we need as well during this full moon. And then we also see this square between the leading planets of Jupiter and Mercury conjunct square to Saturn and Neptune as that cross between the east and the west of the information coming down from the Nile and then the collection of the Mediterranean and all that. So I just want to honor the ambition and the quest to collect all of the world's information. And a square, you can see the ambition there. And once they did collect that, then there was so many people that thought they were too powerful and just wanted to keep burning the Library of Alexandria. So first maybe Julius Caesar did it, but there was so many Roman emperors that did it after him, and then Christian emperors, and then the Muslim reign came in as well. So
that's how you keep control.
Yeah, within time we lost the information of what was in the library of the Great Library of Alexandria. And then last but not least, the last aspect that I'll bring up is this grand cross between the mutable nodes and the mutable full moon itself. And this is old magic. This is mutable and mystery. It reminds us that certainty is an illusion and that learning comes in cycles. This full moon invites us to honor the knowledge that has been lost and to make room for what's still waiting to remember. Learn from the past and don't neglect thought. Share your ideas and not trends. So part of the destruction of the Library of Alexandria was the trend of these different regimes, the trend of Christianity, the trend of Muslimism, just coming in and wiping out this beautiful library that collected all, that tried to collect all. And these one group thoughts just decided that their trend was cooler than going back to ancestral thoughts and learning the deeper meaning of life without judging or without saying nay. Yeah, there was some issues with translation and then within trying to see your God within these transcripts, but they tried. And I say, let's try again. So my final thoughts are sometimes we must admit we know nothing, but that there's wisdom in beginnings. This full moon says, be like Alexandria, be the library, and let everyone be your teacher. Archive generosity, duplicate freely, reject no seeker of truth. Let's not move forward just for the sake of project, not for the sake of trends. Let's move towards our ancestries with humanity and grace.
Awesome. That was enlightening. I went a whole different way with this full moon, but I really like what you brought out in this full moon. Things to ponder.
Yeah.
Things to ponder. So, for me, I look at the full moon and I see the Sagittarius as being this wisdom that craves truth, freedom, and something that's real. You know, the sun in Gemini has clever words. It wants facts. Give me the information. And Sagittarius is just wanting wisdom and true meaning. I see this as sort of like a war between information and wisdom and surface and soul. So my cultural reference is the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Harry and Meghan. Think of Harry and Meghan not as celebrities, but as symbols. Okay? They walked away from a system that on paper looked perfect, but felt hollow inside. And they walked away not for fame, but for freedom, which is all about Sag. Not to be seen, but to be whole. The full moon mirrors all kinds of choices, this full moon. Their story reflects the chart in emotional intelligence with all the Cancer, Mercury in Cancer, the cultural disruption, the inner conflict, and the courage to walk away. So Harry and Meghan, they left the royal duties Signing for desire for financial freedom and relief from the intense media scrutiny that they were receiving. This challenged the royal institution, including the lack of support and concerns about racism. Their journey has been one of love, public scrutiny, bold choices to protect their family and their independence. The Sun and Moon opposition is a pull between obligation and personal truth. We can use this tension between who we were raised to be and who we are becoming. That's the inner conflict of this full moon between the Sun and the Moon. And then I looked at the ruling planet, which is Jupiter, and it just so happens to be in Cancer, and it conjuncts Mercury. This aspect speaks to the heart-centered thinking and emotional intelligence of communication. Harry and Meghan told their stories to Oprah, their side to protect their peace and legacy during that interview. This is a time for listening to what we feel and communicate with care and not reactivity. Maybe it's time to write the stories that we tell ourselves with more heart. And then Jupiter, like we talked about in Cancer, squaring Neptune and Saturn in Aries. This is comfort versus courage. The square represents emotional pains of choosing our own path over inherent structures. Harry and Meghan chose a life of uncertainty over a legacy that didn't feel safe to them. They chose bravery to leave a system. Where are we clinging for comfort instead of growing into who we're meant to be? I think that's the question. And then Jupiter in Cancer sextiles Venus in Taurus. To me, this is about real love and real values. Harry and Meghan chose each other in a simple, grounded life over inherent power. Who and what feels like home to us? This is a good time to think about that. Pluto in Aquarius squaring Venus in Taurus. That's the cultural disruption. This clash between old values, Taurus, and new systems, Pluto in Aquarius. Harry and Meghan departure of the royal family shook up centuries of tradition, challenging what the royalty gender roles are in modern culture. Why outdated values are we being challenged to release or redefine? Is the question. And then let's talk about that Grand Cross that you talked about. The players of the Sun and Gemini, which is about mental chatter and the media. The full moon in Sagittarius is about meaning and moral courage. The North Node in Pisces is about spiritual longing and healing. The South Node in Virgo is about judgment and perfectionism. This will stretch us in all directions. And the questions that we can ask ourselves: do we keep the peace or do we speak our truth? Do we stay in roles that no longer fit? Do we carry legacy or do we create our own? Harry and Meghan chose love. Not crowns, but their children. Not protocols, but their peace. So this aspect speaks to healing forward, not backwards. Let go of perfection. Trust the mess and follow meaning. One other aspect that I did want to mention is Mercury in Cancer. Mercury in Cancer squaring Saturn and Neptune in Aries. This is speaking truth. Our truth may be misunderstood. Say it anyway. Silence can cost more than honesty. So this full moon to me says, free yourself. Choose what feels real. What truth are you holding in your chest that really needs to be spoken, even if it shakes things up? Can you walk away from what's expected? And my final thoughts are, we don't need clarity. We just need courage. We don't need to fix the past. We just need to heal forward. We don't need to be perfect. We just need to be free.
Nice.
Yeah. So That is my reference.
So my lunar ask, and I have to say, Harry and Meghan as a South Park fan aren't in my status of people that chose to be independent of their fame, but sought it in a different way. But the way that you put it made me like them more.
Well, I don't think it's... that's why I said in the beginning, don't look at them as celebrities. Look at them as symbols.
Yeah.
Look at the symbolism of what they did and how they did it. It isn't about, oh, I don't blah, blah, because there's a lot of scrutiny when it comes to this couple.
Yeah, so they did leave the royal family for their own independence to seek outside of that boundary. And we see that with this Cancer Square, the thought of it. And if you need to understand the circumstances behind doing it, look at Harry and Meghan.
And freedom to me is living your life authentically. And that's how I saw the full moon.
Going along with what Kimberly said, the questions I think that we need to ask on this full moon: what story lives in our memory? So Harry and Meghan, does the story of royalty live in the family, or does the story of their own identity and what they're doing in this world live in their memory? And they're really trying to jump forward and be their own memory in a sense.
I think that the way Princess Diana was treated, his mother was treated, he took a stand for love. Which that's that emotional intelligence of Cancer and Mercury.
I can see that from his perspective. Yeah, I love that. What truths are you carrying from your ancestors? We just talked about Harry and Princess Di, his mother. What truths are you carrying from your ancestors? And we can see this in the ancestries of knowledge in books, like what we have come and what we have lost, and that's within all of us. Like, what information have we burnt inside of us that we need to remember for our life philosophy and stuff? And what do you know deeply, intuitively, that must be spoken now? So within this loss of the Library of Alexandria and all that knowledge, the things that weren't lost or what was continued to be talked about, those books that were duplicated out and carried back home. So this is what we keep from each story and each experience that we have. What knowledge do we have that we need to speak of now?
And what I like what's kind of cool, I'm tying it in, is that you talked about the history. And I've talked about moving away from our history to the modern world.
Interesting.
You know, it has this history background.
Yeah, both of it. The last question that I really want to ask us is, or not even ask us, but tell us, this full moon is exposing our moral character within our own story. So
that's the bigger one.
If you want to understand where your grounds of morality are, assess your story, assess the knowledge that you share, and then try to find that knowledge deep within you that makes you have heart and character even more. Because we're looking at the fabric of our character right here. Let this full moon be your archives, your compass, your sacred right to remember the good heart you are.
Awesome. I just say break free with love. Be your own self. I mean, if a Sag can't tell how they feel, what good is a Sag?
Yeah. If the Sag can't find its quest of knowledge. So let's do that. Let's expose our quest. Let's expose our knowledge. And let's change up any story that we need to loosen the past and then bring it forward into the now. Expose it.
Absolutely. So, if you like this video, hit like and subscribe. Share this video with all of your friends. And anyone who loves astrology or anyone who wants to learn about Alexandria the Great Library
of Alexandria,
or how to break free from established roles that no longer fit us.
Nice.
So, and remember, today is a new day and a new opportunity.
And a new experience.
Yeah.
A new journey.
Oh, so sad to make this world a better place. Thank you guys. We appreciate you.
Appreciate you. Thanks for watching.